people that listen to our podcast, you know what they want to hear? They want to hear 4 fucking grizzly bears getting down on some bullshit. That's what they want to hear. Welcome to the Drivers Project podcast, featuring hosts Dominic Scelzi, JJ Hickle, Sam Haferteep Jr., and myself, Daryl Turford.
The Drivers Project podcast is brought to you by Kaiser Aluminum Wheels. Be wiser, by Kaiser.
We're back with another Drivers Project podcast brought to you by Kaiser Wheels, and we actually decided to make this a weekly thing instead of being off for 17 months. I have Dom and JJ with me. Sam was supposed to come on in about 45 minutes before he called me up and sounded dead. So I'm going to struggle with these two strokes here, and hopefully we can get through this. JJ, you got 5,000 reasons to be happy heading into this podcast.
Yeah, I had a good weekend there. Took the family car to Burlington with me and Blake, and then our guy Ryan and Joanne tagged along with their 3-legged dog Luna, and we had the whole squad there. And man, just had a really solid night. Nothing was really great until the end. You know, there was 30 cars. We were able to go from 5th to 3rd in our heat race, and it's a pill draw format. We just missed the dash by 1, so started 9th in the feature. We track was pretty good all night. I mean, a little bit fast for what you want to see for like a pill draw format type of deal, but overall it was a good racetrack for the feature. We started 27 cars, and man, we could not get going. It was like we did a fuel stop and then still took the initial green flag after that. So and like I was supposed to start 9th and ended up lining up 3rd on the field, and so just kind of stayed out of a bunch of trouble. I was glad that they didn't do any crisscross or nothing like that. So just stayed out of a bunch of trouble, and then was there late. You know, I was racing right there in 3rd and 4th really hard, and had a late race yellow, and I just felt like the top of 1 and 2 was just slowing down and getting really, really kind of like lipping over the edge, and just kind of decided to take a flyer on the bottom. Everybody was sort of running the top of 1 and 2 for the most part, and man, I went into the corner in 4th and came out with a run on the leader, and the guy that was leading the race drove off the edge. Friend of the show, Dustin Selvage, kind of dominated the whole night and just had a bad restart, and he drove off the edge there. And so then Meanheiser was leading, and felt like we got a really good launch off the bottom, and got a run on him a couple laps later with only a couple to go there, and got a big run up off the bottom, slid him in 3 and 4, and man, was just one of those ones where it was awesome to win, you know, to kind of be a 3rd, 4th place car and steal it at the end like that from, you know, to win a big race where they announce all the winners every year, and it's kind of prestigious like that. I always think stuff like that's really cool. Like I heard them announce guys that had won the race before, and I just think that's awesome. You know, a couple of guys I heard was Seth Birdman and Dylan Westbrook, which I thought was neat, like a Washington guy and a guy that I'm good buddies with, you know, so just a really cool event. And, you know, to go down the backstretch and see my guy, because where you park, you got the haulers there, and to see my guy like jumping up and down on my hood of my truck, I thought was pretty damn awesome, you know, so it was definitely one of the highlights of the year, and just happy to get that done and be excited for the next one.
You really have, like, in this past off season, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. You're basically trying to build 2 teams, not even before you even knew you were going to be with Morrow. And them and I were saying off camera, you've established yourself as probably one of the top 360 teams in the country between your ASCS races, making the 360 nationals, this win now. Like, how does that feel to be like a year or 2 later, and now you have like one of the, at least on the 360 side, you have one of the best programs in the country?
Man, it's awesome. You know, I don't know if I'd go that far. We're definitely fast everywhere we can go, and I think we can compete anywhere in the country. I definitely am just extremely proud of what we've put together. Blake Cook's just been such a huge part of it. Ivan and Jane Warden kind of laid the groundwork. You know, I have a lot of the bones of kind of what we took on the ASCS tour, and I feel like Blake and I are just picking up where we sort of left off. And man, about 6 weeks ago, I just said I felt like I was in mid-season form, and since then it seems like everything's been really coming together. But yeah, man, just Blake Cook's working his ass off, and him and I work really hard in the shop, and then Joanne kind of helps with all the logistics and stuff, and just super proud of how it's worked out. And, I got just so many people that help me out, like Ringen Earthworks, Dave Perry. Like, there's just, the list is so long, but yeah, I just want to keep building my 360 deal. But we're excited to kind of get more 410 races and stuff in next year too. That's obviously the ultimate goal, is to be as good as you can at the highest level you can be. And it's no secret that's 410 racing and wing sprint cars. So that's where we want to be, but we're definitely proud of where we're at with our 360 deal. And we're going to keep fine tuning that and trying to just keep building a badass race team, whether it's 360s or 410s around the Midwest, and hopefully make it a thing for a lot of years to come here.
Dom, you guys have been, as you've openly said on the last podcast, your team's been pretty much, I don't know what the right word would be, but you guys have been really rebuilding. What have you been up to?
Just building race cars. We've put 2 new cars together. The first night we ran was the one night we got at the Roth race, and we drove up to 6th, and I was racing for 5th, and just kind of messed up racing with Donnie. I really thought that if I got past him, I was going to be able to keep him behind me, and he drove back around a slider that I probably could have pushed the issue with, but didn't, and lost a couple spots because of that. But, I felt great. Honestly, I really felt great all night long. And, it was one of those 8th place runs with the National Series that you're pumped about instead of, being disappointed about. So we've got 2 brand new race cars there that are, fresh, and everything's right and ready on them. And we actually just built a little bit different of a race car we're going to run this weekend and next weekend with the 410 stuff. So going to bounce around on, just kind of some different deals with the race cars, some stuff that I think will help us. I hope will help us, but who really knows? But Tyler Silva, man, he has been working so hard, late nights in the shop. He's been busting his balls. Same with Cody Key. Like, the 2 of those guys, they've worked so hard. And, I really want to get them a win before the end of the season. I feel like I think it's really important that we do win a race here before we, park the car for the year. I really just want to do that for them and for us to show that we are on the right track, and, it'd be a great way to finish the year out. So hopefully we can make that happen this weekend. I feel like this is probably our best shot, being that we're at Tulare, and that I feel like that's probably my best track over the last, however many years. So, we only have a couple races left out here, so hopefully we can finish strong. And my confidence is up. I feel good in the race car, and fingers crossed that we can have a really great finish to the season.
So what is your crew chief situation now?
So, basically Brent Ventura, he's going to bounce between the 83 and us this weekend, but he helps us tremendously with the setup, as well as myself and Tyler Silva. Like, the 3 of us kind of just bounce things off each other, and we work together towards a direction on really just to get me comfortable and get, my feel back. So crew chief wise, I don't have a hired crew chief or anything like that. Brent just helps, whenever he can. And he's been a pivotal spot of this deal. Like, he's really helped us a ton. But he's a full-time farmer. He can't be full-time with me. So right now we're kind of just working to get to the end of the year and then try and sort out what we're going to do next year and how we're going to do it and what the schedule is going to look like. And we've talked about all kinds of scenarios, whether, I'm jumping around from car to car for different nights, or, working with a couple different teams that, I've talked to a few different people out here on the West Coast about possibly, getting my seat in a car and maybe running a little bit different of a schedule than what I've run previously. So there's a lot on the table, but, I would say, our plan is to just build our stuff up like we're going to run wide open. And then if, different opportunities come and present themselves, then we'll maybe do something else.
Now, if in the event that, say, Brett can't make a race, are you comfortable calling the shots on the car? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, between Tyler and I feel confident in the decisions we're going to make and what we're going to do. And, I wouldn't consider myself a crew chief by any means, but I've done this a long time. And, I think I've got a good enough idea as to, what ways I need to turn the nuts and bolts. And I think that between Tyler and I, when Brent can't come, we'll be okay. It sounds like he's going to go to every race with us for the rest of the year, which is much better for me. Just because, having a soundboard and a guy that just like the three of us fit so well together at the racetrack, it's there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of, really deep conversation that goes on. So I love that. And, we really don't have an expectation. Our expectation is just to continue to get better from how we were the week before. And so far we've done that every single night. So I'm excited about that. And, we're just going to take it race by race. If there's a night that Brent can't make it, I think we'll be fine.
So we'll move on to the World of Outlaw races this past weekend. There's some pretty crazy national races this past weekend. The first one was Millstream. I was very curious how Millstream would be. They've had some issues with the surface since the new owners have taken over it. I feel like the track had some character, but it wasn't too insane or anything. JJ, what do you think of Gravel's win there?
It was pretty impressive. I mean, he definitely. I'm trying to think who do you end up out dueling to win it because he was
Kofoid.
Yeah, him and Kofoid. They put on a good show. I mean, that place. I'm not sure exactly what the expectations were, but I thought it was a little better than I was expecting. I mean, it was obviously a little bit choppy and whatnot, but that puts on awesome racing, especially with those super high level guys like that. And so, I thought Gravel drove a really smart race. Like, he kind of knew he was the fastest car and I felt like just made all the right moves to make it happen. But it definitely was, I've seen so many races since then that I don't really remember all the ins and outs of it, but it's pretty impressive performance. Like, it seems like they can win on just about any surface.
Dom, do you think that's something that's underrated about Gravel? Like right now it's really popular to hate Gravel and make him the bad guy, but one of the things I've in private conversations I've had is I think people underestimate how smart Gravel is as a racer. Do you think that's a fair statement?
Yeah, without question. I mean, I think Rico's really been on his game. Reitzel's had a lot of moments too, but I still think overall Gravel is the number one pound for pound sprint car driver in the world. Like I do believe that. So, it kind of irritates me when people are like, oh, he's skipping out on the competition. Was Carson Macedo garbage? Is Buddy Kofoid a loser? Like, I'm sorry. I mean, there's some really good guys still on the Outlaw deal that, I don't think are pushovers by any mean. And that was something I didn't say last week. Having the High Limit and the Outlaws literally back to back, I can tell you right now, I feel that both series are very even. Like their top 10 guys, I feel like are very, very even. I think there's a lot more disparity in the High Limit stuff. It's probably harder, in my opinion, to run inside the top 10 of a High Limit race. And I feel like it's probably going to be harder to win an Outlaw race. Kind of the same thing I'd said earlier. I really believe that the top guys on the High Limit thing are as good as it gets, and I think the top guys on the Outlaw thing are as good as it gets. And the champions of both, this year's a little different because of all the injuries with High Limit, but I really feel like the champions of both, you can interchange them. You can really, like, those top 5 guys especially are as good as they come, and down too. So I think David Gravel is pound for pound number one, and I mean, I don't know. I feel pretty strong about that.
What do you feel, JJ? Because I got my opinion on what Dom just said. Do you think Gravel's still pound for pound number one in all our eyes?
I mean, it's hard to not have him there just because he shows up to every race and he's got so much speed. Like at Knoxville at the Nationals, he came through the B main from deep in the A main, Hard Knocks night, deep in the A main to on the podium. I feel like he's got to be number one as far as like putting a full season with no DNFs and just doing everything right to be a champion. He's got to be number one. I feel like pace wise, right? Like, just this year in general, I'd like, dude, Reitzel's been insanely fast and insanely impressive. Like their car and their pace is like next year he's going to contend or, possibly stink up that championship. I feel like.
Yeah, I wish Dom were here. I think he just
I'm here.
And
No, I'm here.
He's here in spirit.
I feel like there's a difference from last year. I still think Gravel's the number one guy, but I think on Rico and Ricky's best night, they can beat Gravel on his best night. If that's a, but what I see is every now and then Rico runs a 14th, and I'm sure that's Ricky like trying stuff and trying to figure it out. But Gravel's like 14th night is like he runs 6th.
Well,
That to me
and
is
that's one I agree with you, but I do think that that David is a better driver than Rico. I do believe that.
I think David's like he's 1 or 2 to me.
He's
Like,
just so consistent.
and
Like
the
he's
other
not
guy
as
I'm talking
flashy
about
and
isn't
fun. Like he's
Right.
less sexy than most. He's just quietly kind of. I mean, he gets up on the wheel when he has to, or when he gets pissed or whatever. But in general, he's just like he has so much speed while conserving that it's kind of almost boring, I guess. I mean, I appreciate the hell out of it, but I feel like it's not as flashy the way he gets it done.
Yeah, I think you see this though
Yeah.
with guys that have good cars. Like,
Yeah, it looks easier.
I know. Dom and I had a conversation about this. I was talking about Dom's driving. I went to Skagit with Dom, and Dom. I think Dom would say they weren't very good. And my one critique of Dom was I felt like he was racing like he had a great car. And what I mean by that is like Dom at one point was trying to chase down Brent Marks, and Brent Marks is obviously good, but they were both off that night. And Dom, the quick line was around the top, and Dom would run like the bottom. And that's a thing Dom loves to do, but I feel like that's a thing you do when your car's badass. And I think those are like the opportunities the fast guys are afforded. Like one of the reasons, like the guys we're listing as the smart guys, one of the reasons they look smart right now, in my opinion, is because they can be smart. They don't have to force things. They don't have to make anything happen. They can kind of take things as they go. Like you heard Gravel talking at the Tulare race. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you've improved so
And
much.
they're interviewing him, and he's basically like running second or third, and he's not even worried. He's just said, by the end, we'll see what I got. Like, that's what a good car affords you. A good car lets you look much smarter than you are, in addition to being smart already. Is that a fair statement to make?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, it like you said, you don't have to take near as many risks to get to the same out.
Yep. Now, another thing that happened in that Millstream race is a couple episodes ago, we were asked about who the best young guys are. And young JJ Hickle pointed out Casey Jedrzak, who then went on to, I believe, start on the pole of the King's Royal.
Yeah, he did.
And he also just had his first top 5. JJ, what do you think of that?
Yeah, and I think he's won 10 grand in Ohio with like the All-Stars or something since then too. But yeah, the kid's badass. I mean, he's just super impressive. Like looking at this fifth too, it wasn't like he just didn't really pass any cars and just kind of maintained. Like he went +6 to run fifth, which means he was hammering. And that type of racetrack where it's kind of patchy and spotty and you can go grip spot to grip spot seems like what he's really, really good at, and what like a lot of those Ohio guys excel at, is just chasing the moisture around. So pretty awesome. I mean, it seems like the sky's the limit for that kid.
Yeah, the issue I see with Ohio is just what do you do after this if you're Jedrzak? Like, where do you think he needs to go with his career, Dom? I don't know how much you've followed Jedrzak, but like, what's the next step for him?
I think he's at his next step. Run the All-Star thing, race in Ohio, run the Outlaws and High Limit when they come around, and until you can dominate the region, I wouldn't even look at moving. I mean, to me, I feel like, Caleb Henry, for example, he had a great season. They really did a good job. Like, I don't even think he should be looking at running the Outlaw thing. Go do it again. Do it again and travel to Knoxville a little bit more, travel to Pennsylvania a little bit more, broaden your spectrum. I think that is what you need to do. Don't rush into going outlaw or high limit racing. I just think that walking before you run and really dominating a region and do it for a couple years. I think that is the key to it. Because honestly, I feel like Cap Henry was the best guy in Ohio.
Oh, dude,
you know what I mean?
He's won more races than anybody this year in 410 sprint cars.
Absolutely, and he didn't run all the high or all the outlaw or all-star stuff, but I feel like he was the best guy. So, if I'm Caleb Henry, hey, I won the All-Star Championship, which is the perfect and the right thing to do. I'm going to run the All-Star shit, but on my off weekends, I need to be going to Pennsylvania or Knoxville or Maua or IRA or something else, run different regions, or I need to be going after, I want to be the undisputed king of Ohio. And so I think Jedrzak should be trying to do that too. Like, own your region and then venture.
So that brings me to an interesting question that was not on the list. Is there anyone whose reputation and career could benefit more right now from an outlaw win that hasn't won than Cap Henry? I'll let either of you guys take that. Like, this is a guy who has quietly dominated Ohio, dominated one of the hardest regions there is. And I don't think if you ask people to list top locals, I don't think Cap Henry comes to the average person's mind. How much would winning an outlaw race just change people's view of Cap Henry, especially if he did it in Ohio?
Yeah, I think it would be huge.
Yeah, it'd be the respect he deserves, kind of. I mean, what he does out there is so impressive. Like the guys, I look every week at the results, and the guys running second and third and whatnot are all extremely good guys that used to win 3 or 4 races at all these places. That now he's winning 6 and 7, and everybody's picking off 1 or 2 now. You know, he's just dominant. It's impressive as hell. But yeah, winning an outlaw show would. He's won a couple All-Star shows, like, you know, back when the All-Stars were traveling a bit more and stuff, and yeah,
Back when the All-Stars were deep.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Like he was
out of
solid.
state.
He was a solid all-star, and yeah, I mean, it would just be kind of the cherry on top of the career. Sort of like, you know, it's like I feel like he kind of almost deserves it in a way, but at the same time, nobody really deserves an outlaw show. Like you got to go make it happen, basically.
I just feel like he's what Trey Starks was. Trey Starks wasn't probably getting the respect he deserves. He beat the Outlaws. He beat High Limit. Now everyone just says he's the best local guy there is.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like that's the next step for Cap. Like he is.
And Cap's
He's
pretty
pretty damn
he's
dominant
pretty
in
exceptional at like 4 or 5 different tracks, which is badass.
Yeah, and like
And
Trey
he can
Starks,
travel.
Yes.
He can make the Knoxville Nationals. He can go wherever.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the thing is like I think people used to underestimate Trey's resume. I think people underestimate Cap's. Like he's made the Knoxville Nationals. He's beaten the All-Star. I remember he won an All-Star race in like Lake Ozarks. Like
Yep, and Gas City.
like he can go out of state and beat really good guys. I think either you view him as not the next Trey Starks, and I don't mean the same level, the blah 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 as Trey Starks, but he's that next guy that probably deserves recognition that isn't getting the recognition he deserves.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you look at it right now, like the sport as a whole. You know, I don't follow the Wisconsin stuff as closely. I don't know if I don't feel like that's dominated like anywhere else. But like I look at, you know, you've got Trey Starks and Justin Sanders who own the Pacific Northwest and the California regions. Then you have, you know, Cap Henry in Ohio. You've got Anthony Macri and, you know, Danny Dietrich in Pennsylvania. Like those are your guys there. And then when you look at like Knoxville area, I think Ryan Timms and Brian Brown, you know, are the guys I feel like that own it. You know, and so like there's 1 to 2 guys in all these different areas that they're dominating, I would say 75% of the schedule. And I can't remember in my lifetime it being that, you know, predominant in local regions, like where there's 1 or 2 guys, those are the guys. Like you look at Shane Golobic out on the West Coast, he's been a quarter of as tough as he's been in years past, myself included. You know, you look at Tanner Carrick, he's been off. Like, I mean, it's just wild, and I don't think anybody's lost their muster. It's just some guys are really, really hitting right now, and a lot of guys aren't.
Yeah, you know Master Gas put up a stat the other day that was insane. It was like 78% of the national races have been won by like 7 or 8 guys. I'm butchering the stat, but it was an insane stat to me. You were going to say something, JJ?
Oh, just speaking of mustard, how awesome is it to see Andy Forsberg win that race at Chico? Just love it. It's good for the sport.
He's having
a
great season. He's really good this
year. And he's ageless. Like I want to grow up to be like Andy Forsberg, dude.
We had him too low on our top 100 last year. That was one of the ones that we got 8 up on.
I tried hard to get him up there.
I had him at 92, but they felt he should be higher. Other people didn't have them on their list.
On the right type of track, he is awesome.
You know what? I would say a couple years ago, he wasn't winning like this.
No.
Like he was winning some Marysvilles, a couple Placervilles. He is badass this year.
Yeah, I thought it was cool to see him. I'm a huge Andy Forsberg fan.
Yeah,
I've always never seen him race. And then we came up for that ASCS swing the one year, and that was my first real time seeing him like really be legit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he won. I think he ran second at the one race, and in that race it was Well, Petaluma, where you got to be like a friggin' animal. I think
he
he ran
won it.
second.
He
Or
loved.
did
Yeah, I
Him or
thought
did Sean
he
Becker?
I thought Becker won it, but I might be wrong
I
there.
thought Forsberg won it.
If it was Forsberg, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Those two were the guys.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's very fitting for that location.
So after Millstream, the Outlaws made the trip to Sharon, and I don't think that is a race that anyone is going to forget anytime soon. I think the Dave Blaney win was pretty special, but holy shit, this Dale Blaney win was pretty crazy too. What do you think about that, JJ?
You know, I didn't see any of the race, but just to see him win there, like with their family and their car and everything at their track, is pretty damn awesome and pretty damn special. So it's like, I feel like as a sprint car fan, it's definitely good for the sport. It's awesome to see.
Dom, what were your thoughts on seeing the tall, cool one pick up the victory?
It was incredible. I loved every second of it.
And that, by the way, is the better nickname than the lowrider. The tall, cool
Yeah.
one's a way better
The tall,
nickname.
cool one. I dig it. Yeah, I thought it was incredible.
So the Blaney win, I had mixed thoughts on it. First of all, I love Dale Blaney. People don't know this, but he was probably one of the best drivers a driver has ever been to the Drivers Project. He probably sat down with me for 3 or 4 hours of interviews. I did an interview with him on his basketball days. I did an interview with him on his racing days. He's given up his time for the Drivers Project like a bunch of times, and I have nothing but good things to say about Dale Blaney, and I love that he won that race. I did have an issue, though, and I talked a lot with Sam about this, but I haven't talked to you guys about it, and it's the issue of innovation. There's a couple things. One thing I remember is a few years ago, Sam and I were wanting to run an arm guard, and we weren't sure if the Outlaws were going to allow it. I'm going to tell you guys it was nothing crazy. It was nothing insane. The issue was basically going to be like how much of an opening we had, would that be allowed or not? What bothers me about the Blaney win is I feel like you don't, like, people complain about the lack of innovation or people don't want innovation. But right now I'd feel like as a team, you're not sure if you're allowed to innovate. And what I mean by that is, like, when we were even looking at changing our arm guard, the Outlaws have such a reputation for turning people around and sending them home with this thing that's even legal by the rule book that people are scared to innovate. And then at the same time, you watch the Blaney show up with this race car and you're like, but that's allowed. And an example I'll give is, like, years ago we went to Ocala, and Greg Hodnett was there with Lethal Lee, and they had this front end that was just insane. It was legal by the rule book as far as I know. And you guys don't know about it because the second they unloaded the car, they got told never to run it again.
Really?
The car never hit the track for a competitive lap. Dom, one that you're probably going to know better than I am, and you can probably tell more of the story on it, is that Lasowski Eagle car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was built like the front axle was like out and then back. So it was, and then the back of the cage was built real far back, basically to create a longer sideboard with the paneling of the car, and then to get the nose wing, as far forward as they could get it. And I think they ran it like a handful of races in Florida, and it got like
They won like
X-nayed.
every race.
Yeah, they won every
like
single race. Yeah,
they won like 10 out of 12.
Yeah, I want to say I think they won 10 of 11 or 11 of 12 in Florida, and it never got to see the light of day again. Which I'm amazed they allowed it to race as long as it did if you're going to win every single night.
But this is my thing. So why are those cars banned, but the Blaney car isn't banned? Like,
Here, let me change this. How do I want to say this to where it makes sense and I'm not bashing anybody? I don't think the sanctioning bodies know why they want to outlaw things versus when they do outlaw something. For instance, the KKR original hood is illegal because it's a two-piece hood. So it has to be looking like one piece. Why? Why is
I
that?
can explain that one. In the early 2000s, guys were running, you'll remember this when I say it, they're running snub-nosed sprint cars. So there was no piece under the front wing.
Mhm.
And the idea of that was to not upset the air under the front wing and make the front wing way more effective.
Mhm.
Well, people didn't like that. They were starting to get way away from the traditional look of a sprint car. So they wanted to end that shit really quickly. And the way they did it was basically by wording that you had to have a piece that went all the way down to the front of the race car. Like
Right.
they actually didn't care if it was multiple pieces. You just had to make it look like
One piece. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we saw Caleb Henry run into that. But like that was actually the legal solution
Mhm.
to the illegality. That rule was brought in for the snub nose cars.
Caleb Montgomery, but yes.
Sorry, Caleb Montgomery, yes. Yeah. And yeah, so I didn't I didn't really give a shit, but I didn't like that they were doing that to Caleb Montgomery because he was kind of running like the hood that we had long deemed legal for that situation. Like the Canes ran it through the 2000s, and like that was a rule for like 2003, and like that was deemed like, okay, you're good. So I thought that was kind of chintzy, and
Yeah.
other guys have run that nose, but yeah, I honestly think they looked at the Blaney car and they just don't know what to do about the Blaney car. That's my honest take, is they don't even know
where to start.
But it's like,
yeah, like what rules is it breaking, Daryl? Like where?
No, this is what I'm saying. Like Dom, you know better than me. What I'm saying is Dom was like the Lasowski car legal by the rule book? Because that's what I'm getting at.
I'm pretty sure that the rules were written around the car. Like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. So they're like, okay, we're going to just build a car that allows us to. Because that was like when Big Maxes came out, and they're like, well, you can't run your panels back to a certain point because your panels can only, or it was something like the back of your cage can only go a certain, length out. Well, then they're like, okay, well, if we make the rack way far back or whatever it was just this oddball thing. I could probably get the story from Jimmy because I'd asked him before, and it was a hermaphrodite of a car.
Yeah, like if you look at it, the rear bars are not, like the down tubes on the rear are not straight. They're like 120 to some degree. But that's what I was getting at, JJ, is why are we banning some cars but not other cars? Now, I'm hoping someone knows and maybe says in the comments that Lasowski's car was, say, illegal, or the reason the 22 that Hodnett showed up with was illegal for this reason. But as far as I know, these guys had showed up with cars that were legal, and it's like, well, why are we letting the Blaney car go and not that one? So if people know in the comments, feel free to like chime in. That's something I'm truly curious about, because I don't like the idea of like selectively allowing one car but not allowing another car. My next question to you guys is a little more deep. Everyone's going to have a view on this, and they're not necessarily going to be the same. Do we think innovation like that is good? And I think at first everyone would say yes, but I'm curious what your guys' answers are. JJ, do you think innovation like that is good for the sport?
I do. I don't think it's bad for the sport. I think allowing guys to think outside the box, and, if guys want to try and reinvent the wheel or whatever, whatever you want to call it, I'd say more power to them. I think it takes a special combination and a lot of manpower and a lot of hours and stuff to make a car go out and win a World of Outlaw race. And I don't think Joe Schmo off the street or whoever, some guy that's been racing for 50 years that's got some good ideas is going to be able to just build a car and go beat the out. Like, this isn't something that's just going to happen all the time, whether it's allowed or not. Like, the Blaneys are pretty special, and Sharon Speedway is a really unique place that they also, they own it. So I'm sure they got plenty of laps testing that car at that track. So I think it is good for the sport.
Race this year.
Yeah. It's the only race they've ran, he said. Yeah. It's
only racetrack. Yep.
Yeah. And I do. I think it's good for the sport. For a guy like me, I'm pretty cookie cutter, pretty run of the mill, not really like a old school fabricator type of guy. So I kind of just, buy and assemble my stuff. Luckily I have a guy that works with me that's kind of more old school and still has that same mentality of still trying to, just figure things out rather than just buy a new one all the time. So I think it is good for the sport. For the guys that are willing to put in the work to get a little bit of reward is nice.
Dom, what are your thoughts on innovation? Or is it a good thing for the sport?
I do like it, and I kind of wish that they would lax the rules a little bit because I do think it would allow people to have some more control over their race car. Um, like, I mean, for instance, let's say we take the 69K, we take the Blaney car. What's another car that's not, by the book? I'm trying to think. Those are really the only two that come to mind right now.
Jerry
But how
Russell's
does
good. He's a good guy to follow on social media. He's always doing some
yes,
stuff.
yep. But how does the Blaney car do in Chico? Probably not very fucking good. You know what I
This
mean?
is this is the point I'm going to get to.
See,
Is
so and then but that's why I like it. Like, I'm pretty sure that there are. I mean, not every place, but there are certain racetracks that have tendencies that are very, common. You could damn near build a car around it, and I like the idea of that. Like, big risk, big reward. I'm going to spend 100 grand building this race car, and I'm going to get a engine with the way I want it to pedal, and I'm going to have this car act the way it's going to act, and all this stuff, and I'm building it for a certain flavor of the month, and I like that. Like, we might roll in the place and suck ass, but other nights we're going to be awesome.
my counterpoint to that is exactly what you're saying. Um, like I fear the path we could end up going down. Like, one of the reasons racing is way closer today is because there's less innovation. Like, in the other years where there was innovation, the smartest guy would just build the best mousetrap and they'd just dominate. So I'm not sure that you really totally always want that innovation. Then my next fear is, especially with all the money coming into the sport, I fear we start building specialized cars for specialized areas. Like,
Super
we're already
speedway
doing
cars, road course
we're
cars.
already yeah, like we're already doing this kind of with motors. Like, teams have like the short track motor, the big track motor. I fear we start getting into where, like, oh, we know we're going to Ohio for a month, so we're going to build a car specifically for Ohio for a month. And in general, I like the idea of innovation, but I feel like it has some unintended consequences that people don't think of. And honestly, one of the unintended consequences, I think, is that racing is ultimately less competitive. So I do think that's something people need to keep in mind when they're cheering these cars. But the other thing I would also say is, a normal race car in the 83 still damn near beat the 10 car. It
Yeah.
was pretty much right down to it. So I'm not anti-innovation, but I think people really got to look at unintended consequences of innovation and not just blanketly love it. The next thing I had, the last Outlaw topic I really had, was Shots teaming up with Sides. To me, this is a really good match. I think they're the same type of person. I think they race I think they race the same way. Like, they think about racing the same way from the outside looking in.
Both of them
Dom,
could
you could probably
outdrink
give
the
us
fucking Russian mafia.
what's that?
I said both of them could outdrink the Russian mafia.
Yeah, like, I think this is a really nice way for Donnie to end the season. What are your thoughts on that? But you specifically, Dom, because you know them probably better than we do.
No, I think it's good. I think, like, Jay used to go with Donnie down to Brisbane, and when the 15 car was down there, and they would go race at what was the name of that racetrack? But it was in Brisbane, but on the Gold Coast. That was his crew chief. So Jay and him have raced together a bunch, and they've always parked next to each other. I mean, over the last, God, however long I've been racing, they're always parked next to each other. They're have always been good friends. So I do feel like there's a lot of synergies there. Um, I don't think you're going to find many people that have more faith in Donnie than Jay. So I think it'll be good. Now, will they win a race? I don't know. I hope so. I'd love to see them finish the year with a high note. But I mean, they passed a lot of cars their first two nights, so that tells me that things are clicking and they're moving forward. They just got to get the front half of the night a little bit better, and I think they'll do that.
So we've talked a lot about the Outlaws. It's time to move on to High Limit. And at Bridgeport, Dom, your brother probably got his heart broken, but I think a lot of the racing world was happy for Danny Sams. JJ, I feel like you've raced with Danny a little bit. I'm trying to remember if Danny was on the ASCS tour when you were out there. What were your thoughts on Danny picking up his first win?
Yeah, I was happy as hell to see it. I know Danny a little bit just from racing around Michigan and whatnot. Like he was just kind of getting out of there when I went up there a little bit. And great kid, great family. You love to see people that work hard and kind of pay their dues and keep grinding. And, they've had every opportunity to get discouraged and drop off the tour or whatever this year, and they stick with it. And to see him get rewarded with a win, I think is awesome. It's what everybody dreams about. And you got to love that him. Danny's he's a really fun personality. Like if you know him and just on social media and stuff, like the photo of him laying with his trophy in his hotel room or whatever is just hilarious, man. He's like going to go to bed and he's got his trophy next to him. And just, you love to see it. Like that's passion for the sport. And it's hard to root against somebody like that.
Dom, there's probably people cheapening his win. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter bitching about it only being a 10-lap race because of the rain, blah, blah, blah. You're probably about one of the people who should be the most annoyed by it because your brother almost won the damn race. Three laps of rain sooner, your brother wins it. But can you tell people to fuck off?
I guess my question is, does anybody know what the bank asked when he cashed the check? If they asked how many laps it was? No, I don't think anyone asked either. So as far as I'm concerned, it was a 100-lap race. It doesn't fucking matter. He wins. He won.
And I think like for people to be happy, you would have to lead till like halfway. Again, Dom, your brother was in second.
Yeah,
he was going to lead till halfway.
I mean, I genuinely don't give a fuck. I mean, how could you think for a second to discredit a guy like that? I mean, what the fuck? I mean, get a job. Like, what are we doing?
And he did make the pass for the lead too. It's not like he was just kind of running away.
The next thing I was fashion.
In commanding fashion, 4 in the shit. He looked like Tim Kading from 2008.
He did.
Like just up in the shit, made it work, blew the fucking 7BC stickers off, passed a couple lap cars, and the rain came down. What did he fucking do? The guy won the race. Like if Gio would have been up there and he was leading on lap 10 and the rain came, he would have won the race. But we had a race. There was a pass for the lead. But what the fuck do you want to do? The guy won the race. Like I don't.
It was the most John Madden statement of all time.
The thing I wanted to get at is like we talk about how hard it is to win one of these races. How hard is it to lead one of these races?
Just to put yourself in position.
I was just telling the story at the shop today. I'm like, I forget what year it was. I led like 18 laps of an Outlaw show in Tulare, and Larson got to second. Well, Larson slides me. I get back underneath him, and the yellow comes out. And I remember going around, and I'm like, please, God, I know there's 0% chance of rain in the forecast, but if you could just open up one small cell of rain and let this thing rain out, or maybe the lights go off, there's a car accident, nobody gets hurt, but the lights aren't able to come back on, or maybe I don't know, there's a robbery in town. I mean,
the Juan Montoya fire.
Give me anything to make this race quit, and I will never miss a Sunday at church. I will, whatever. And obviously it didn't happen. So, but like, dude, I wouldn't have given a shit at all. I'd have been like, yeah, you remember that time I kicked Kyle Larson's ass? I mean, fuck, man. I mean, that's just how the cookie crumbles. God bless Danny Sams, because when he wins the second one, it's going to credit the first one even more. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Anyone that talks shit about it needs to screw off.
It's not going to be his last one.
I just can't believe you didn't answer my question at all, Dom.
Oh, did I not?
Realize how hard it is to lead a friggin' national show.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, it's tough.
He's getting shooed out of the bedroom.
Yeah, I am some of the views we've got from Dom are just excellent tonight. Some of the angles.
Yeah, the leg up with the shorts on.
What's this picture? That's my baby in that picture.
But yeah, I just think people don't even realize how hard it is to get the lead of a damn show. Like, you'll be, like, hauling ass on a night. Like, JJ and I were at Eldora before, like, the racing happened. Like, you can be hauling ass, everything can be going good, and then you draw the 8 and the dash. Have fun.
And you're done.
You're not. Yep. Yeah. I don't think people realize how hard it is to even get the lead in a race.
Be in position to lead one of those races. A high limiter and Outlaws show just takes the whole night going exactly how you need it, all the way up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So, continuing with high limit, Tanner Thorson picked up the win at Path Valley. I was
Who'd he
really,
pass to win that race?
I think it was he had a sexy brother. I remember that,
I
but I
can't
can't
remember.
remember.
Whoever it was, they were probably around the
Um,
bottom when they got passed.
yeah, but
Yeah.
what I wanted to shout out Thorson for was if I had a knock on him this year outside of qualifying, which I don't think he has anything to do with, my knock would be that he's really, really been bottom dependent. And I was really, really impressed that he went to the top at Path Valley and looked as good as he did. Dom, do you think we're going to see Thorson become more than one dimensional on a more regular basis?
Yeah. I don't think Tanner is a bottom dweller. I think that,
I
you know,
never thought of him as a
yeah.
bottom dweller, but in the sprint car, I feel like he's been running the bottom a lot. I raced
Yeah.
with him in midgets. He was gas and ripping.
Yeah.
But I feel
No,
like this year he's been trying to beat people on the bottom.
I just think that has so much to do with the coils. Like getting a balance on that. I'm sure they're probably a lot more friendly when you're away from grip and you're, in, a little bit more uh, safe part of the racetrack. But I've seen him rip the cushion and be good. So obviously, Sunday night was a perfect example of that. So I think that they still have a long ways to go on their car, because there are moments where you can visibly see they're struggling. But I mean, if you would have thought that, a four coil car would be out there winning multiple national events, I don't think many people would have even considered it, honestly. And
Daryl
I mean,
wouldn't even allow it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you fucking rule maker. But I mean, I guess if you think about it, I think coils are probably more like, I don't know. They're probably a better tool to tune in a race car. I mean, you've got a lot of options when it comes to, different springs and stuff like that. So I see the theory, and obviously it's been successful in the past. And, I mean, he's got a lot of smart guys helping him. So it's not like, they're shooting in the dark. So I think it's pretty neat, but I definitely think they're going to continue to get better. Their engine program seems to be stepping up because he's been qualifying better too.
Yeah, I've seen a few things that are good indications. I believe there's a social media post of a trailer they just got designed for them, so it kind of implied to me that there's some money being spent there. JJ, what do you think of Path Valley?
Yeah, dude, so not Pennsylvania. It's awesome to see him race there. Like I love getting to see it. It just looks like a little tiny California style track. I mean, it was wet and fast pretty much the whole time. Like, I enjoyed the racing. I thought it was not surprising at all that Brady Bacon ripped through the field up to second. Like that's his style of shit. And even after the race, they're like, with a wing on, you've been pretty good this year. He's like, well, this place you don't really race like there's a wing on, And so it was fun watching those guys rip around such a little track. I mean, it's one of those races where for me it's more fun to probably watch than it would be to go be a part of. Honestly, like just super super tight racing. Like I mean, I don't mind it, but it's just it was a fun race for the fans. But it seems like if you're mired in the back or have any one bad thing happen on a night like that, it make for a long.
Now, a thing that got brought up during the broadcast, I was listening to our Old Drivers Project podcast, and one of the things I feel like we've gotten away from is really having the drivers talk about the actual driving of the cars. And I was listening to the broadcast, and at one point, Tony Laporta brought up your brother Gio, Dom.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about liking a car driving off the left rear versus the right rear. And I don't think fans hear that term a lot, but it's terms we really use a lot in the pits. Dom, could you kind of take people through what you mean by driving off the left rear and driving off the right rear? And then could you guys explain how you guys are as drivers in terms of do you like driving off the left rear or the right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, it's a common, conversation between guys like, hey, I like my car to be left. And like, to me, left rear drive is, your car's down left and, you get about to the center of the corner and your left rear is almost driving through your right front. So, you're turning to the left as the car's squatted left and your left rear is driving the car harder than the right rear is. And then, when you have more, driving off the right rear, I feel like your car's probably a little bit more squared up and the right rear is probably squatted a little bit more. The car looks more linear. It's a little bit more flatter. And it's, I wouldn't say the right rear is driving past it. But I definitely feel like it's, you're over on the right rear and you're squeezing the right rear into the racetrack, and that's what's driving you harder. So I felt like with Jimmy, a lot of times I was very like squared up, more right rear, like more laid on the right side and grip that way. And it's something that I do like. Like I'm more of like I want the car to enter really hard left. Like I like the left front down, the left rear down on the entry. But then once I get to the center, I like to I like the right rear to squeeze, pretty hard and be more so driving off the right rear from the center off. And I always joke with everybody. I want it to turn in easy, have great rotation. I want it to drive even and hard, and I want it to be fast. And I want the perfect race car. So just give me that. But I definitely like a car to be left on the entry. But then once I do get to the center, very much do I like to have the thing on the right rear.
JJ, how would you describe yourself as a driver? What are you looking for?
Dude, Dominic just described it to a T. Like, my crew chief will be cracking up because I say the same exact thing all the time. Like, I want it to be left on entry and get down, like, left side's down on entry, but as soon as it gets to the apex, like, get the right rear, get it to where it's flatter, and you're kind of driving it with the right rear and it's plugged in. And I mean, almost exactly what Dom said, but it's funny because, like, I laugh all the time. I'm like, dude, I'm just asking for everything, like lay left on entry and be flat on this, but make sure I feel the right rear all the time. So yeah, I mean, really, really similar styles, I would say, honestly.
Yeah. And then do you say, hey, I want it to have some attitude laying left down the straightaway, but my right front needs to be down, too, because I can't have the right front flying.
Exactly, dude. Like I write out notes every week for my guy, and like that's exactly. I'm like, I feel like the nose is blocked at freaking a mile high because we're, if I can't feel the right front, then I instantly complain. So yeah, exactly, dude. It's a pretty, our windows in our old ages are about as big as a goddamn peanut. It sounds like.
No shit.
So to help fans out on this, Sam also likes right rear, but Sam likes basically right rear all through the corner. And to give fans an idea, it makes us good on a lot of racetracks. Like Sam wants right rear stick on entry, and he wants to get to the corner as fast, like the center of the corner, as fast as he can, and then he's basically trying to survive the exit. So what that means is we're good at a lot of tracks, but what it means we're terrible at is like flat, tight quarter miles. So like
barrel race,
because basically we like to be on the right rear. Well, when you get on like a flat, tight quarter mile, now you're falling over on the right rear, and it's very hard to prop up the right rear. So the other thing I was trying to get across is like the different fields have their strengths and weaknesses at different types of racetracks. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, like my bread and butter, no question about it, is a mild to high banked quarter to 3/8 mile. Like that's where 90% of my success is. Like I've got like stats in my phone, and it's ridiculous the 3/8 wins compared to a quarter mile win. I'm gonna pull them up real quick.
I go by gear sets.
Do you?
Like pretty much, but yeah, same deal. If it's bigger, it's usually better for me too. I feel and when you describe racetracks, I feel like we just like the same shit.
Yeah, so I have 50 wins on 3/8, what I consider a 3/8 mile, and I have 4 wins on a half mile.
Yeah.
So there you go.
This is what the thing I wanted to get across to fans is like, they'll be like, oh, this guy sucks on this kind of racetrack. The feel is probably why Donnie Schatz usually isn't great on a hammer down Chico. Like, you can, if you really know what's going on and you know what a driver likes before they go to the track, if they're going to have like an above average weekend and an average weekend or a below average weekend.
Yeah.
I think all the drivers, if they're honest, are.
Yeah.
Everybody talks. I mean, it's well noted that like Brent Marks comes to California and struggles because he's extremely good when grip is hard to come by. There's an abundance of grip in California, and it's hard for a guy like that to free his car up or to be comfortable. It's hard to be comfortable when you're used to searching for grip when your car's wanting to tip over every time you hit the gas. And it's just these styles are so different across the country.
And that's for me too. Like I want it to be gut slick with more than likely a half-inch curb, something that isn't really even going to hold you. You got to slow down to get it. I like momentum racing. I'm not a wall beater. I'm not, like, I mean, you can do it at Tulare, but I like slick, slowed down racetracks that are bigger than, a barn and smaller than a mile.
Yeah. And then the other thing was like the guys that like to drive off the right rear, when you guys say it's fair, they really like to feel their right front, where the guys that like to drive off the left rear, they kind of want like the car to fall into the corner. Are those fair, accurate things to tell people?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, in following that up, can we kind of list off some guys that run like left rear drive and guys that like right rear drive? Like guys off the top of my head, Donnie likes, I would assume, likes right rear drive. Sam loves right rear drive. And
Aaron
talking to
Pittman.
Silva, when he stayed in our shop, it sounds like Silva sets the car up for left rear drive. Jason Myers used to like not turning the car into the corner, so I'm assuming he liked left rear drive. Are there other guys just anecdotally you can think of?
Lasowski
Wayne,
like being left rear drive.
yeah, I think Wayne Johnson also likes left rear drive just from my time with him. But yeah, is it fair to say there's basically two styles of like the feel that you guys like?
Yeah, I would say just generalizing it, yes, you got guys that like to be laid left and guys that like to be more square.
So, have we beat that topic to death, fellas?
I would think so.
Okay, so what do we got here? The next one I got is an observation my dad had.
Oh,
And my dad had the observation that a lot of these teams that had to make long-term driver changes, none of them are really like paying off in spades. Like you're starting to see Gio start to run good, but like the 18 hasn't run great, and now they're putting Eliason in the car. A lot of these long-term deals really didn't go well. Why do you guys think that was? Or is that fair to say?
I don't think that was a long term deal. I don't think the 18. I don't think the 18. I think the 18 was like, hey, can you help get us to the end of the year?
Just scrap this topic then.
No. I think there's weight to what you're saying, but I'm just saying the 18 thing. I don't believe that was a like, hey, we've got a new driver. I'm 100% positive that it was like, hey, let's try and shoot to the end of the year. And I think that things have gone kind of so shitty for both sides of that they're like, hey, you know what? Let's just put somebody else in the car until, we get to World Finals and we get to announce, whoever could be possibly driving the 18 car. And then, Axum gets to focus on the 27 again, and they get to kind of, get back together before they start their outlaw or high limit run next year. So I think that made total sense. And I think Eliason's probably a good choice, being that they're not really trying anybody out. Like they know who's driving the car next year. They know who's going to, be there. So I know, but I wish we knew,
But no, our group actually had a lot of debate going in as to whether or not Axum was ready. Do we feel like the lack of success was Axum not being ready, or do we feel like it was other things, or do we think it was a combination of everything? There's people on our pod that were definitely very he's ready, and there's definitely people on our pod that were very he's not ready, and I'm not going to say who on any.
I think he's still as ready as he was when he signed up.
it's got more laps
some things
now.
some things just don't work. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't think that they mixed very well. I don't think that I don't think they ever really got off to a great, start. They had a couple decent runs. They had a couple really bad runs, but all in all, I don't think that they ever had the right chemistry there. That I think Adam's smart, and I think that Emerson's a hell of a talent. It just didn't work. What does that mean for Gio? I don't think that means anything. I think it's the same thing. Like, hey, sometimes things just don't work. Gio's been, I feel like, incredibly hot and cold in the 7. Like, there's moments where it's like, fuck, all right, they've got it, and then it's like, dude, what on earth are you doing? 2nd to 9th or 10th or whatever at Eldora, and then the next night they go 9th to 2nd. It's like, what the fuck is happening? But I think that's how hard the sport is, for one. And 2, I just think that getting guys comfortable on, again, we're going to beat a dead horse, this fucking tire package. I think it's horrendous. I think this tire package is garbage. And this is why a lot of guys just struggle to get comfortable, because they fucking suck. They're horrible. And that's the hard part. People are going to go, oh, it's the same for everybody. And I hear that all the time. It is the same for everybody. But when you get your comfort and your feel on a certain tire, you're pretty deadly. And when you struggle to find that, and then when you struggle to have a consistency in the tire, which I don't think is disputed with anyone in our sport right now, it's tough. It's tough treading. And this is why you see the changes we're seeing, is because guys can't get comfortable. And if they're not comfortable, they're not fast. And if they're not fast, they're not winning. If they're not winning, they're not going to have a job.
Pretty much. So I'm trying to get JJ in on more topics here, but the problem is the next topic is completely Dom centric. Dom, NARC got bought. I believe you're on the board.
Right.
What are your observations, thoughts? What went down there? Just give us the lowdown.
So Jim Allen has been I wouldn't say he was looking for a way out, but he was definitely in the process of planning his exit. I mean, the guy's worked like a dog his whole life. When he came to NARC, for a second stint, I think he had said he was going to be there 5 years, and he turned it into 10 years or 9 years or something like that. And, it was very clear to the board members, like I wouldn't want to say like either the start or halfway through this year, that he was ready to explore options of, a succession plan and an escape for him to kind of enjoy retirement. Right. He'd bought a house out of California. He loves to golf. Him and his wife want to spend some time together. I mean, I don't blame him for any of it. And quite honestly, I think this Brad and Kevin thing comes at a perfect time for that. I think it's probably the two right guys. I think that's a good mixture, especially with what's going on in Skagit. I have no idea what the direction is going to be. I have no idea what the intentions are for the series or what the goals are for the series. I don't think you buy something like this or get involved in something like this that is an absolute money hemorrhaging machine to make a profit. So that's a positive. Couple of my concerns that, I haven't spoken to either of them since it was announced. I'd known about it for a decent while, but a couple things that I guess my concerns are is I don't want to see the schedule drop back down to like 16 to 18 or 20 races. I'd like to see it be, 23 to 26 races. I think that's the right, amount of races. I don't want to see a second trip to Oregon for NARC. I think the Speed Week and Dirt Cup is plenty for that. I would like to see them try and bring some big events back to the NARC schedule. I mean, if you look at it, the Tarleton, which is no longer a race, was a NARC race, or was supposed to be a NARC race. The Roth was a NARC race. We had the Peter Murphy Classic, which was 11,000 to win, 1,100 to start. We had the Cotton Classic, which was 10,000 to win. We had the Anthony Simone, which was 10,000 to win. All of these were Peter Murphy promoted pretty much. But we had a lot of these events in the Central Valley in California that were 10,000 plus 410 races for NARC. We've lost all of them. So I think what they need to do, Brad has the Mini Gold Cup, which is a 10,000 to win race in Chico, which is great for NARC, but they really need to focus on building events back for the NARC series. I feel like we're the only hub in sprint car racing that basically has no large races anymore. Like we don't have anything special. We've got, the Trophy Cup is going to be, something different. The Dirt Cup is a high limit junior race. Yes, it's a NARC race, but I guarantee you we're going to have 8 plus high limit guys next year. You're going to see, the Gold Cup obviously has always been a national event. The Roth race is a national event. We don't really have anything big for us besides the Bradway anymore. I couldn't think of one race off the top of my head that's, of any meaning. So I would like to see them try and build back marquee events on the schedule. I'd love to see us get a, big marquee event at Calistoga that's not on top of the $127,000 in Skagit. I'd like to see them focus on building the point fund, building our nightly purse, all very hard things, all big tasks. That's what I feel we need to do. But how is the question? And without corporate funding and sponsorship, I don't know how you do that without Kevin just writing a check, which I think honestly is the worst thing that you can do. We need to have some sustainability out here, and
we're gonna get into this.
and so to me, there is no sustainability. Jim Allen, had done a great job for a long time finding a sponsorship, and once he retired, there was just no finding anything. So, how do we build more big events in California for West Coast teams? I don't know. How do we find more corporate sponsorship? I don't know. I think that we probably have the two best guys in the country that are going to be finding the answer to that. So I like that, but it's got to make sense for the sport. And I hate what's happening with all the big races in California. They're basically being stolen from the local guys, which is what it's always been, and that's a bummer. I don't think we're bringing, I don't think we're bringing light to anything when it turns into a national event on some of these races. How can Pennsylvania and Ohio have so many local big races and we have nothing?
Yeah, so there's a lot to take in there. AJ, did you have any thoughts on any of the things Dom said?
I mean, it's hard to disagree with any of it. He kind of knows all the ins and outs of it, and it's even when I was out there, there were more races that were just for the locals, and we'd get 40 or 50 cars, and it would be absolutely awesome shows with quite a bit of parity in the winners and stuff. And now, you hate to see those races turn into national events. I mean, it's great to have national events, but it would be great to have those in lieu of, along with the big regional race, the prestigious regional races. It runs the little guy out of business, kind of. I mean, it's not good for the little guy trying to go run. Like those guys, I know a lot of guys even in Ohio that don't even go show up to the high limit and the outlaw shows just because they know they're outgunned.
And that's what's happening here. And I don't think the answer is let's make all the high limit races NARC show up points. Okay, cool. You're going to force a guy to not run your series is exactly what you're going to do. You're not going to force anyone to, oh, well, it's only a couple races. Let's go run it. No, they're just not going to run the series. So, that's not an answer. I think that, and I should preface that by saying, I don't know that they're going to do that. I'm just basically stating what I know won't work. I think what they need to focus on is getting a 25 race schedule with your, 8 of those races are the 3 nights at Dirt Cup and the 5 Speed Week races up to Dirt Cup, which I think is great.
Yeah, those are awesome.
That's to me the best part of the season. So you keep that. Your HK Classic, I can't believe I forgot about that. The HK is great. It's a 2-day show now. That's awesome. So now you've got 10 races. The Bradway is a 1-night show. You've got 11. You run Placerville a second time, which is 12. I say we need to have 4 races at Tulare. Make the Chris and Brian Ferrier Memorial big again. I'd love to see there be a big race return to the NARC schedule at Tulare again with a 2-night show. There's your four races at Tulare. You run one in, like early May or mid-May, and then you run one in, September, October. I don't know, August. I don't know what time, sometime around there. Now you're at 14 races. You've got, an Antioch, which gets you 15.
I think one thing is they need to be 2-day shows. Like you need to be,
Yeah.
Not every track needs 2 days, but
Yeah.
it needs to make sense. Like when you're in Southern California, race for 2 days. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
2 and 3 day shows. Cause I feel like I see a lot of standalone NARC shows that's
Yes.
where a lot of guys don't.
Yeah. Well, so one thing that we had talked about pretty in depth on the board before, obviously before this buyout was we wanted to find a way to make our finale in Las Vegas. And I think that got squeltered by High Limit with them going back there. And I know it was incredibly expensive to have that location, but like kind of what we wanted to do was could we come up with a 2-day show on a Friday, Saturday, have ourselves, NARC, SCCT, and like USAC CRA. Have those 3 series, split the cost. It's a sprint car weekend, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday we have a banquet there. I think that would be perfect for everybody. Do it in November, like the same weekend of SEMA. So you're like the second weekend of November. I think that would have been perfect. And, that's something I'm going to bring up again to these guys. But I think it would be great because what you do then is it's after the season for these guys. So the High Limit guys or the Outlaw guys could potentially come out and run that race. I would like to see, Trophy Cup be an October race. I'm trying my best not to like say things I'm not supposed to say, but I'd like to,
Dirt Trackers already said some stuff about it, so I don't.
Trophy
think
Cup better stay 360. That's all I'm hoping.
That's what I think we're tiptoeing around.
Yeah.
Dirt Trackers already implied that there's a good chance it's going 410s.
Right. So whatever happens there, I would like it to be an October race, maybe even like a weekend later, like Halloween weekend. And then, maybe that's a good weekend that maybe if it were to stay 360s would be great. And then you do, something somewhere else the weekend after, and then you go to Vegas and, maybe you have a 5 race week long series in Arizona the following weekend or whatever. I mean, I think there's a lot of options for things, but who knows what's going to happen.
There's a lot to chew on. I think one of your ideas about Vegas, I think that's one of the things they've gotten wrong. They keep trying to bring a national series there, and I don't think you get the fans to cover a national series purse. I think if it's a regional series purse, though, like a little more reasonably priced, I think you can make that race a race. But
so
not many people show up to watch
crowds. They're not that great of crowds in Vegas. Let's be honest.
No, they're bad.
So here's my thing. I think Vegas is tough because Brad has the right idea on so many things. Like, for instance, we're going to run in the spring when NASCAR's there. Great idea. You have all those people camping out there. It's a no-brainer. I felt like, not many people showed up. And, I mean, it's a big grandstand, so I could definitely be wrong. And I'm sure Mike Hess will text me that I was wrong if I was. But, I feel like, another option is so many people come to Vegas for SEMA. And there's all these things during the day, but why would we not do like some huge car show on, Saturday night, before the race, like, it starts at 5:00 or whatever. And you do this huge car show out there. You try and get as many people, maybe, I don't know, find a way to work with SEMA on it and try and pull some national teams out after their season's over and really make it a fun event for everybody. I think it'd be awesome, but I've got a lot of ideas that cost a lot of money and I'm not willing to fork any of it up. So I guess I'm kind of one of those shit talkers at that point.
Tom wants to go to a banquet in Vegas, and this is his best way to get there.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, one thing you brought up is, I think, something that's really, I don't always want to be that Chicken Little, the sky is falling. But
you are.
When I watch these things that Rudine owns, I keep seeing the same thing. God bless freaking Kevin. He pours money into the sport. But the reality is the things he's pouring money, everything he owns in sprint car racing doesn't follow the rules of economics. It follows the rules of Kevin loves the sport, so he's just going to do it. Like, the reality is, I don't think there's a person that can look at you with a straight face and be like, oh no, Skagit definitely brings in the weekly crowd to pay that purse. I don't think that on a weekly show. And I hate being that guy, but I'm so worried about when a guy like Kevin leaves the sport in terms of the sustainability and the viability. Like, when Kevin leaves the sport, what's it do to the sport when all of a sudden they're not paying $5,000 to win a Skagit? Like, how does that play out? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know that it's terrible, but I know, like myself, my dad and I, we run a series. We're a 360 series. We're about to run a race this Saturday. Great shirt, JJ. Great Southern Ontario Sprint shirt. We're about to run a 5,000 to win, 500 to start show for 360s. We've run 4 of them this year. They are completely, basically, sponsor paid for. My dad and I, I'll just be honest with you, we shit bricks of the day. We have 2 sponsors that pretty much take care of those races, and my dad and I are shit bricks, waiting for the day when one of those 2 sponsors doesn't want to do it anymore. What the hell are we going to be left with? Because, again, it doesn't make economic sense for our racers to be racing for $5,000 and 500 to start based on the crowds in the stands, and we're even packing the place. And it's still not enough to really cover those purses. And I have a very strong fear of, like, the vacuum of when the people like the Kevin Rudines leave the sport. Like, I'm very worried about that for Skagit and the West Coast. So I think what you're saying is very important. I don't think the answer with NARC is, well, let's make every show 5,000 to win, whatever to start. I think the point you're raising is very important. I think the challenge for Rudeen, I think the real challenge for Kevin Rudeen is to make it a sustainable, viable thing when he's gone. I think that's the real challenge for Kevin Rudeen is I think that's really hard. I think it's really hard to make it sustainable. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that.
I mean, it's at everything's operating at such an elite level. It's going to be hard for anybody to just come in and take it over and make it as nice. It's like when Mark Cuban left the Mavericks. I don't think they've contended for a championship since. It's just kind of it's a crazy situation. But luckily, Kevin Rudeen's fairly young and seems to be in good health. So hopefully he's around for a long time. But I mean, in all seriousness, it is an interesting thought. But I mean, it's so far down the road that I just don't know.
That's my thing is I'm not saying, oh my God, don't do this.
No, it's great.
The goal with NARC should be not to fix it with money. Is that I guess how I'm trying to say it? Like the goal is, I think, to not just throw money at it to fix it, to have just things in place. Like I don't want Kevin Rudeen to spend a pile of money on this, I guess is what I'm saying.
So here's how I think I would go about it if I was Kevin Rudeen. I think you play it like the awesome stepdad. I'm going to get you started. We're going to raise the purses to $5,000 to win every night at a minimum. They're going to be $700 to start. We're going to have 20 to 25 shows that are going to pay half of them. Let's say we have 10 shows that pay 10 grand or more. That's a great, huge start. And I'm going to give you guys 3 years to make that happen. Like 3 years I'm going to fund it. I'm willing to fund it. Now, in those 3 years, our goal needs to be, we need to have outside funding to be able to offset what I'm giving you guys by 50% by year 3. If we can do that, let's tack on 2 more years, and I'm going to step back a little bit, and we need to get our funding to 75% by year 5 for what we're doing with these increased purses and these big events and all this stuff. And now by year 5, I'm only 75% of it. Now at that point, he'd be 25% of the money. I'd be like, okay, now I want to start weaning myself completely out of it for the next 5 years, slowly, but being able to where, okay, now it's just going to be sustainable. And I think how you do that is you go after several large or several medium-sized sponsors. If you could rack up like 7 or 8 $50,000 sponsors, you're there. Because the promoters for the racetracks are paying the purse. And I think this is where Brad's expertise comes in because he's doing it with high limit. You find a way to where, okay, hey, you know what? Our purse has gone from $25,000 to now it's a $40,000 purse. These guys can't just go, we're going to raise our ticket prices. I think how you look at it more so is keep their cost at $25,000 or try to get their cost down to $15,000, but finding sponsors that are willing to offset that other. So they're sponsoring the series. You go to these promoters and, hey, well, now we're $25,000. Now we can get your cost down on the race because we have sponsorship, but that gives us more control over. We're not going to go to dumps, and we're going to demand a little bit more, and we're going to, really spend time to maybe we're the only track or only car at the racetrack. Maybe it's only sprint cars, kind of like what High Limit does. And with that, we're going to do a fan fest every race, and we're going to, have these sponsors out, give away 100 tickets. Who gives a fuck? Not 100 people are going to show up, but give these businesses 100 tickets and try and get them in the door to see what their $50,000 is giving them. I mean, this is kind of where my mind goes. I mean, I'm probably not portraying it in the best way, but, having your 5-year plan of like, how do I pump this thing full of money, but start immediately front ending this to get sponsorship and diverse sponsorship to where if we lose one sponsor, holy fuck, we're done. It's really like, okay, well, now I got to find one more $50,000 guy or two $25,000 guys. And then the other hard thing is, how do I feel like all of these guys are getting their money's worth? There can only be one title sponsor, but how do you make this, work with everybody? And I feel there has to be a way to make that happen. A long time ago, a conversation that was brought up on the board was, what if we have races that are NARC events and races that are King of the West events, and we look like we're WWE versus Raw, and we're 2 separate series, but we're all into one, and you've got a title sponsor of one, you got a title sponsor of the other, you got a champion in this one, you got a champion in this one, And, it's almost like, hey, these guys are against each other. They're almost teams, in a sense, but making it look more like a monster truck show. How do you do that? I could talk for hours on the different things that, we've, people in groups have talked about out here. So that's what I think. I think you get a game plan to where it financially makes sense on year 5.
Well, I think that's all our topics. Let me just check the old itinerary here. Yeah, that's it. Do we have any shit we want to talk?
Yeah, fuck all you people that want to give Danny Sam shit for winning a heat race main event. He won. No one else won. Leave it alone. He won the damn race.
A heat race.
Do we have any other shit we want to talk?
Oh,
I'm trying to think.
I don't think
I
so.
feel like nothing pissed us off this year really that badly.
This year, I mean, not this week.
As general things, it was way easier to come up with shit to talk last year.
We were just angrier, Daryl. Now we're a little more zen now. We're a year older.
Dom, surely you got something.
Dude, I don't. I'm pretty happy with the way things are.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
He went in on the tires already for the day. I mean, I couldn't agree with him more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I thought it was crazy that at
I
Eldora you guys were allowed to run HTCs.
I think, what's that?
At Eldora, the Canadians were allowed to run the HTC tires?
No, the HTC is a medium. It's just plated as an HTC.
Oh, I thought it was a HTW.
No. So you guys at West ran the HTW. We ran the HTC. It was the exact same tire. It was 2 different plates.
Mm-hmm.
This year,
Oh,
in Canada, we run the HTC, and it's the exact same tire as the medium.
gotcha.
If you actually look on an HTC plated tire, it says underneath it medium 1.
Oh, okay.
They did that so people wouldn't get pissed off about that.
Yeah, it's funny. I looked at Dason at the pit meeting. I'm like, well, I think we're at a tire disadvantage. Then we ran 1, 2, and I just laughed. I'm like, well, that's okay.
No, you ran the exact same tire.
That makes sense.
Yeah. How about
Hell of a-
Canada's performance at Eldora, by the way, JJ?
How about who?
How about
Canada's president?
Canada's performance in the 360s at Eldora?
Dude, thank God Dason and I were there to make it so you guys didn't fucking win. You guys would have swept the podium.
Yeah, until that red came out for that Westbrook fella, our guys were pretty in shape.
Yeah, he fucked Alex. Christie was going to win it.
Yep. And you're the only guy in the field that knew who you were racing.
Yeah, yep.
All the Dom, to give you an idea, 7 of the top 10 starters at Eldora in the 360 race were Canadian.
And nobody knew him. And I'm like, dude, no, there's 15 cars that could win this A main. The 360 race has more guys that could win that are more than the 410's got 5,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a proud moment for the Canadians at Oshweekend there, that our guys traveled like that and ran well.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
so
we defended our turf very well, but that was we started to now go away from our turf and look pretty.
Ryan Turner ran fucking 8th at Sharon with the Outlaws.
Yeah, we're a 3. I think this is insane. We only run 360s up here. Only run 360s, and Ryan Turner had 2 top 10s against the Outlaws, and Dylan had the top 5 against the Outlaws.
Dylan had a podium.
I think Dylan ran 3rd and led 14 laps. I think that's insane that we're a 360 group and we had top 10s with the Outlaws and didn't race that many races. We didn't send that many guys, and I think Dylan will have a shot to win the Outlaw show next year if they run an Outlaw show. But David Gravel's pretty good.
So what are we going to talk shit about, Daryl? Nothing?
Maybe it's Canada taking over.
Canada. Let's go ahead and look at the podium there. It was still Americans. Americans were outnumbered, but still
you broke my dad's heart, JJ. I don't know if you know that, but you and Dason broke my dad's heart.
Because of Alex?
No, he just wanted a Canadian to win the race, and he wanted Canadians to run good, and everything looked good until Dylan's crash. And then you and Dason just had to wreck it for everyone.
And your guys were all cheating it, and we just had a lane to ourselves. It was awesome. It was so fun, dude.
Race on that shit. They never see anything like that.
Well, and we just got done with 30 hard laps and a 410 on that shit, and then got out of our fucking 410 into our 360s, I went up to Dason on the podium, like that was like a cheat code getting out of one and into the 360, huh? Like felt like you could make it do anything, dude. It was crazy.
But we're coming. We're coming after you guys. Like it's
all
just
right.
a matter of time.
You're coming.
The Canadians are coming hard.
Yeah.
Oh, they're coming so hard all over the place.
All over the place.
Like Ohio, New York, all over.
Just coming everywhere.
Yeah, just making a mess.
Coming all over.
Just a shot here, a shot there. Just
lots of coming.
So much coming.
All right. Seems like we've worked our way to the end.
Well, fellas, we really got to find some shit to talk because we're letting the world down on that. That's your homework assignment for next week is find shit that pisses you off so we can run our mouths about it. But until then, have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, boys. It's been a pleasure.
Good times. See you, fellas.